Hello everybody. Today we are going to learn about photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is the second lesson in the grade 11 syllabus, and I would like to split this into two parts. That is, first part will speak about the general facts about the photosynthesis, and the second part will be on the experiment related to photosynthesis. So as you all know, photosynthesis is very important for the sustenance of this whole biosphere. So for the whole biosphere to survive in the proper condition, photosynthesis is very essential, and we as humans, animals, and also plants depend on photosynthesis. So without further ado, let's get into our video today about photosynthesis. Well, photosynthesis, as you all know, this is very essential for several reasons, not only one but several reasons. At the end of this video, let's speak about the importance, but first let's look at what actually photosynthesis is. According to the definition, photosynthesis is the process by which green plants, which means plants which contain chlorophyll or cells which contain chlorophyll, produces or synthesizes their own food, right? Or food using light energy, carbon dioxide, and water. So what is photosynthesis? Once again, photosynthesis is the process by which chlorophyll containing cells in plants, in green plants, produces or synthesizes food using light energy, carbon dioxide, and water. So this process, the name itself suggests what is the process. So if you break it down, photo means light. Synthesis means making or producing. So producing using light or producing food using light is known as photosynthesis. Well, let's go to the next. So this diagram from your textbook very well reflect what is needed for photosynthesis and what is produced by the photosynthesis. So as I already told you, photosynthesis need light energy. It can be from the sun or any other light source. Today, we have developed technologies where they use other artificial sources of light other than the sun in order to produce food, in order to make the plants produce food successfully. So examples, certain projects named plant factories use this concept. They don't use sun, the light energy from the sun. Instead, they use artificial bulbs, artificial lighting, the LEDs, in order to provide light energy for the plants. So somehow, plant needs light energy, water, carbon dioxide, and also chlorophyll should be present inside the plant to carry out photosynthesis or to do this photosynthesis process. Well, these are the essentials for photosynthesis. There are 4 essentials. All these 4 should be there in a plant in order to carry out photosynthesis or photosynthesis to happen. What are they? Again, chlorophyll, that is the green pigment present in leaves. So leaves become green because of this green pigment, because of this green chemical, and this chemical is present in the chloroplast, the organelle chloroplast. Inside a plant cell, there is an organelle chloroplast. Chloroplast contains chlorophyll. So first one is chlorophyll, second one is light energy, and the third one carbon dioxide, and fourth water. Plant need all these 4 in order to carry out photosynthesis, right? And then you saw in the diagram also that there are 2 products in photosynthesis. What are these 2 products? The main product in photosynthesis is glucose. Other than glucose, plants also produce oxygen as a byproduct. So there are 2 products in photosynthesis. What are they? First one, glucose. The second one is oxygen. Oxygen is the byproduct. Glucose is the main product. Well, so we can show this relationship, or we can show this reaction, we can show this process using equations. So we can use word equations as well as chemical equations. So if you write a word equation for the photosynthesis process, it's carbon dioxide plus water, light energy that is captured by chlorophyll containing cells, produces glucose and oxygen. Once again, carbon dioxide plus water, light energy captured by this chlorophyll, produces, main product is glucose and byproduct is oxygen. Both of these are essential for the biosphere. Both of these are essential for the survival of organisms. We need oxygen as well as we need food, right? If we write the chemical equation is 6 CO2, you know CO2 is the chemical symbol for carbon dioxide. Then 6 water, H2O. We have light energy captured by chlorophyll, produces C6H12O6. What is C6H12O6? C6H12O6 is glucose plus the byproduct, oxygen. So why have they mentioned 6 here? This is when we balance the chemical reaction. Now you have learned the balancing of chemical equations in grade 10. So simply we have balanced this chemical equation to get 6 CO2, 6 water, chlorophyll captures light energy. It produces C6H12O6, which is glucose, and 6 oxygen, which is a gas. Okay. Moving on, there are some facts that we need to learn about photosynthesis. Now, photosynthesis needs water. Where does it come from? You know, plants absorb water from the soil. Soil solution contains water. How do they absorb? Through roots. But is it exactly the roots? No. The exact organ or the part that they use to absorb this water are the root hairs. Root hairs are very fine, hair-like structures in the leaves. So they go through the soil particles and absorb the water into the root. So actually, the correct term is not absorbing, but there is a movement of water into the root. What is the process? There is a process called osmosis. You know, there are 3 different types of, this is some extra fact. There are 3 different types of movement that can happen in living bodies. First one, diffusion. Second one, osmosis. And then third one is active transport. So here, water enters the roots from the soil solution via the process osmosis. Osmosis is the movement of water molecules from a high concentration or a high water potential to a low concentration of water or low water potential through a semi-permeable membrane. That means this membrane allows only the passing of certain material like water. So semi-permeable or a selectively permeable membrane. When the water molecules move through a selectively permeable or a semi-permeable membrane from a place with high water potential to a place with low water potential, it is known as osmosis. Now, once water enters the root, it will move to the root xylem. What is the xylem? Xylem is the tissue that conducts water and minerals. But before it enters the xylem, it passes through the cortex and endodermis. Those are 2 cell layers, the cortex and endodermis. Through the cortex and endodermis, it will enter the root xylem. So once it enters the root xylem, it will next move to the xylem of the stem. So it will move up the tree or the plant, and then the water will be carried into the cells where photosynthesis happens through the veins of the leaves. You know what the veins of the leaves are. And then these veins of the leaves will end up in mesophyll cells. What are mesophyll cells? Mesophyll cells are the photosynthetic cells in leaves. So if you look at a cross section of the leaf, you will clearly see there's a layer called mesophyll. This layer also has 2 layers. What are they? The palisade mesophyll and spongy mesophyll. Mainly, most of the photosynthetic, the high amount of large amount of photosynthetic cells are present in the palisade mesophyll cell. So anyway, this is the root or the path where water enters into the plant and then goes up to the place where it is needed, the leaf cell. Next one, we need oxygen. Not us, but photosynthesis needs oxygen. Carbon dioxide. Plants need carbon dioxide for photosynthesis. How do plants absorb this carbon dioxide? Plants absorb carbon dioxide through atmosphere. What happens is this carbon dioxide or CO2 diffuses through the stomata. Stomata are the openings mainly in the undersurface of leaves that is used for gas exchange. They will diffuse through the stomata into the mesophyll cells, right? And within the mesophyll cell, there are air spaces. So there is more mistake here. This should be subscript CO2. The 2 should come down. And anyway, finally, the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere will end up in the intercellular air spaces in the mesophyll layers. Okay. So those are the two essentials and how they are absorbed and how it enters the site of photosynthesis, the place of photosynthesis. Apart from after this, using these raw materials, the plant leaf or the leaf cells produce glucose as the main product and oxygen as a byproduct. Now, once the glucose is formed, which is C6H12O6, glucose cannot be like kept just in the plant as it is. So therefore, it has to be converted to some other form. You know that though leaf produces the food, food is stored at different other places of the plant, like maybe the stem or the root or in a fruit. So in order to store glucose in those places or food in those places, in those organs, it has to be transported. But this glucose is not used in transportation. To transport the food, it is converted to sucrose. It is the transport carbohydrate because it is not used up in transportation. Otherwise, if you send glucose, if the plant transports glucose, it will be used up in the translocation. Translocation is transportation of food in the transportation. So the food is produced as glucose, transported as sucrose, and it is stored as starch. So we eat plant material, we eat yams, we eat other roots, right? What we eat is starch. So what is starch? Starch is the form by which, right, that the plant stores carbohydrates. Starch is how the plant stores carbohydrates. And how is it transported? What is the path? The root is the phloem tissue. So you know phloem tissue is there for the translocation of food. So this is done by the phloem. Next on is the byproduct. What is the byproduct? Oxygen is the byproduct. Byproduct, once it is formed, is diffused through the stomata back into the atmosphere. Back into the atmosphere. So this is how the raw materials are absorbed, and this is how the products are being given out. Okay, so this is the first part of photosynthesis. In this part, I wanted to make you aware of what is photosynthesis, what is needed for photosynthesis, and what are the products of photosynthesis. This is the first part of our lesson. So the next part will be the experiments related to photosynthesis. So let's meet in the next video and hope to see you.